first of all, congratulations, Peter. Wow, what an achievement. And did you ever think that you'd be seeing yourself back in Middle Earth?
No, I thought the Lord of the Rings, 3 movies back to back was a once in a lifetime experience, and hey, I was wrong. What can I say? But it was great returning to Middle Earth, and I think that for me, the key to it was the fact that The Hobbit is written for younger people. I mean, it was written really by Tolkien for his children back in 1937. So, not having that sort of darkness and that apocalyptic end of the world feel that the Lord of the Rings had. The Hobbit, I think, had a freshness to it, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm wondering, since from when you started with Lord of the Rings so many years ago until now, obviously the technology has changed and offered you so many, more advantages. What for you has been, aside from shooting in the frames that you did, aside from that, what has been the biggest, wow moment for you? Going, I can't believe we can do this now.
There's things that really do affect me. Things like not having to make miniatures anymore, which we used to do. All the castles and fortresses and sort of architectural places in the Lord of the Rings were usually huge models, and this time we can do it in the computer, which, in itself is neither here nor there. But the one thing with having a digital miniature as opposed to as a physical one is I can put a camera anywhere that I want. I can fly through windows or doorways with the camera, whereas with a miniature, you are physically constrained by the size of the camera and getting into the spaces. Digital stunt people. We have digital doubles of all of our actors. You would be amazed in the movie where you think you're looking at the real actors like Martin Freeman or Ian McKellen, and they're not. They're actually digital doubles, because anything where there's a sense of action or danger, we obviously still use a lot of stunt people, but if you want something really spectacular, you can use digital people now that look exactly the same. So that was pretty amazing. Gollum has advanced a lot in the last 10 years. I wanted him to look the same on the outside, but underneath his skin, his muscles around his eyes and mouth are much more realistic and more complex, just like a human being. So when Andy Serkis performs Gollum, every little nuance of his performance is now able to be captured accurately, one-to-one, in the digital puppet. So, Gollum, you could almost say that Gollum has become a better actor in the last 10 years, certainly being able to translate Andy very accurately. So, the cameras are smaller, they're lighter.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff,
It's amazing. I can't wait to see what you're going to do for us in 10 years from now.
Hopefully I'll be lying on a beach in Fiji somewhere with my feet up.
You deserve it.
Filmmaking is quite tiring, I have to say.
I understand that you were just a bit wary of working with all these actors that were going to play the dwarves. Taking on 13 dwarves, that's a big... But you know what? They ended up being so fantastic. I mean, that was pretty well my favorite part of this movie, is watching them and each one and how different they were. I'm sure that was the same for you.
Yeah, if you were writing The Hobbit as an original script, you'd limit your dwarves to 3 or 4, probably. I mean, you'd have a bit of sensible dwarf culling would go on it, but we couldn't do that because this book is so iconic, and those 13 dwarves are just part of Tolkien's mythology. So, but that was a problem. I mean, I was worried about it, because what do you do with all these dwarves? I mean, there's a gaggle of them. But that, in a way, became the blessing, because giving them individual personalities and characters, and and the fact that Bilbo, the comedy that you get from Bilbo, Martin Freeman finding himself in the middle of this group and having to manage and deal with the social interaction between them. I mean, there's a lot of comedy to be had. So we sort of tried to turn it into a plus. For the movie.
It worked so well.
Yeah.
IMAX fans tend to be real fanboys and fangirls of this type of world of cinema. And I'm wondering, what do you think these fans will get out of seeing this film in IMAX?
Well, I'm a huge fan of IMAX. I mean, I think anything that enhances the theatrical experience, anything that makes the movie, something to see in a cinema as opposed to waiting for it to show up on your iPad, is a good thing. And that's what we're facing as an industry now. We have to provide that incredible cinema experience. Now, if I was seeing the movie in IMAX, I would absolutely suggest seeing it at 48 frames a second, because it will give you an immersive sense of reality, like taking the screen away and you're looking into a window into the real world. And 48 frames in IMAX is probably the ultimate way to see this film.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, that's going to be so spectacular. Working with so many of the same actors that, of course, that for so many years. must have been such a great comfort zone for you. But then to bring the newbies in, like the Richard Armitage and all the others, how did that all work in terms of everybody, getting along and the old people showing the new people the way,
Yeah, well, it was good. I mean, I like to work on a happy set. I don't believe in having stress or tension on a film set. I think it's not helpful or productive. So, the old gang that came back, Ian McKellen and Elijah Wood, and Andy Serkis, they're friends. They've been friends, ever since we did The Lord of the Rings. And there's nothing more fun than working with your friends. I mean, that's really relaxed. And then the new guys, look, we shot these 3 movies over 18 months, and so they've become as close to us as the Lord of the Rings cast did, and they're all nice people. I got to say, when we casting movies, especially films like this where we are shooting for a year and a half, 3 movies, you want to cast actors that are great performers. You want to cast the actors that are right for the character, but you also want to cast nice people. I mean, I know that sounds really silly, but it's too long a time to have anyone who's difficult or a problem on a set, and so we always meet with our actors first. If we don't know them, we talk to them, and we get a feel for who they are. And we've ended up with the nicest cast in the world.
Can you give us a little hint of what we can expect from the next films?
A big angry dragon.
Big angry dragon! I can't wait for that. It's really great that you let that Andy Serkis was able to take over a little bit of directing. How beneficial was that? And because you know him so well, that you guys probably can finish each other's sentences.
We can. Andy and I know each other very, very well. The second unit directing is interesting because it's usually doing the shots and the things that the director doesn't have time to do, or the more time-consuming shots. But the second unit directors can also be quite conservative. They can be a bit overly worried about giving the director what they need. And the thing with Andy is he has a courage and an energy, and he's a risk taker, as you can see when he's performing. And his second unit directing was exactly the same. He gave me a lot of fantastic choices. He was his sense of his spirit and his energy definitely translated into his directing as well.
Yeah, and his Gollum this time around is fantastic.
Yeah.
My God, so good. Well, congratulations. Yeah. I'm so glad that you decided to come back and give us this. And
thank you.
Look forward to the next 2, and always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.